Think Mauritius is just about pristine beaches and luxury resorts? Wait until you find out this tiny island has more languages than Switzerland, banned an entire social media platform for a week in 2024, and is the only African country where Hinduism dominates. You won't believe what's really happening on this paradise island that most tourists never discover. Number 15. Mauritius has no indigenous people whatsoever. The entire population descends from immigrants who arrived in the last 400 years. Unlike virtually every other country on Earth, when the Dutch first landed in 1598, they found absolutely nobody living there. Think about that for a second. This island sat completely uninhabited for millions of years until European colonizers showed up. The entire 1.3 million population today comes from waves of media, montage of Dutch, French, African and Indian people in period costumes, historical portraits blended with modern Mauritian faces, Dutch colonizers, French settlers, African slaves, Indian indentured laborers and Chinese traders who all arrived after 1598. You heard right, every single Mauritian family, no matter how many generations back, traces their roots to immigrants. It's like the ultimate melting pot experiment, except it started from absolute zero. Walking through Port Louis today, you're literally surrounded by the descendants of people from 4 different continents who all somehow ended up on this tiny speck in the Indian Ocean. The crazy part? Despite having zero shared indigenous heritage, they've managed to create one of Africa's most stable democracies. Talk about making something from nothing. Number 14. The government can legally ban all social media platforms whenever they want. And they just did it in November 2024. Sounds unbelievable. But the Mauritian government completely blocked Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok for an entire week right before their general election. They claimed it was for national security, but here's the scary, or maybe even funny part. It backfired so spectacularly that they had to reverse the ban after just 24 hours due to massive public outrage. Imagine waking up in paradise and suddenly having zero access to your social feeds. The economic impact was immediate. Local businesses that relied on social media marketing lost thousands of dollars overnight, and tourists started complaining they couldn't share their vacation photos. You'd think this was some authoritarian nightmare, but nope. This happened in one of Africa's most democratic countries. The government tried to control information flow like it was 1984, but forgot they live in 2024 where people expect digital freedom even on tropical islands. Think your government overreaches? At least they haven't literally unplugged your Instagram. Number 13. Mauritius is the only country in Africa where Hinduism is the dominant religion, with 52% of the population practicing it. Wait until you find out how this happened. When the British abolished slavery in 1835, they needed workers for their sugar plantations, so they brought in over 450,000 indentured laborers from India between 1835 and 1920. These weren't just any workers. They were predominantly Hindu Indians who maintained their religious practices despite being thousands of miles from home. Today, you'll find massive Hindu temples right next to Catholic churches and Islamic mosques, creating the most religiously diverse landscape in Africa. During Hindu festivals like Diwali, the entire island lights up with celebrations that would make you think you're in Mumbai, not the middle of the Indian Ocean. The wildest part? This religious diversity has never sparked major conflicts. While other African nations struggle with religious tensions, Mauritius somehow figured out how to make Hindu temples, Christian churches, Muslim mosques, and Buddhist pagodas coexist peacefully within walking distance of each other. It's like they accidentally created the world's most successful religious harmony experiment. Number 12. The Mauritian rupee is, one of the few currencies in the world that features 3 different scripts: Latin, Tamil, and Hindi. Think about trying to read money that looks like it came from 3 different countries. Every banknote and coin displays text in English, French, Tamil, and Hindi simultaneously, making it look like, well, a linguistic puzzle. Here's the funny part. Most tourists can't even figure out the denomination because they're too busy trying to decode which script to read first. A single 500 rupee note contains more languages than most Europeans speak fluently. You heard right. Their money is basically a celebration of multiculturalism that fits in your wallet. Local shopkeepers effortlessly switch between reading the Tamil, Hindi, and Latin text depending on which customer they're serving. It's like having a universal translator built into your cash. Try explaining that to your bank back home. No sir, that's not counterfeit money, it's just trilingual. Mauritius lost the most famous extinct animal in history, the dodo bird. And it happened because of, honestly, the dumbest reason possible. The dodo wasn't hunted to extinction like most people think. These birds were fearless because they had no natural predators, so when Dutch sailors arrived in 1598, dodos would literally walk up to humans out of curiosity. But here's the twist. Humans didn't eat them much because, well, their meat tasted terrible. The real killers were the pigs, rats, and monkeys that Dutch ships brought along, which ate dodo eggs faster than the birds could reproduce. Within just 80 years, every single dodo was gone forever. Imagine being so trusting that you walk up to your own executioners. The tragic irony? Dodos were actually intelligent birds that could have been domesticated, but instead they're now the universal symbol of stupidity and extinction. Today, the dodo appears on Mauritius's coat of arms as a reminder of what they lost. It's like having your national symbol be your biggest regret. The island that gave the world the phrase "dead as a dodo" now desperately wishes they could bring them back. Mauritius has 12 official languages, but most citizens speak a Creole that outsiders literally cannot understand, even if they know French and English. You heard right. This island, smaller than Rhode Island, somehow supports more official languages than the entire European Union requires. But here's where it gets weird. Mauritian Creole is the mother tongue for 86% of the population, yet it's not even one of the official languages. This Creole evolved from French, English, Hindi, Tamil, Arabic, and Malagasy, creating a linguistic Frankenstein that sounds familiar but makes zero sense to outsiders. A typical conversation might start in Creole, switch to French for emphasis, throw in some Hindi when talking to elders, and end in English for technical terms. Tourists constantly think locals are switching languages to exclude them, but they're actually just speaking normally. Wait until you find out that most Mauritians are at least trilingual by default. They learn Creole at home, French and English at school, plus whatever ancestral language their family speaks. It's like living in a real-life Google Translate experiment where everyone is a walking dictionary. The scary part? Kids as young as 5 effortlessly code switch between 4 languages in a single sentence, making most Americans feel, honestly, pretty linguistically challenged. The entire country runs on a 13-month calendar system where the 13th month consists of religious holidays from 4 different faiths distributed throughout the year. Think your vacation time is complicated? Mauritius officially recognizes Hindu festivals like Diwali and Holi, Chinese New Year, Christian Christmas and Easter, plus Islamic holidays like Eid, creating so many public holidays that locals joke about working more days off than on. Here's the kicker, the dates change every year because they follow lunar calendars, solar calendars, and lunar-solar hybrid calendars simultaneously. Businesses have to plan around Kavadi, where Hindus pierce their bodies with hooks and walk on fire, Thaipusam Kavadi, a Tamil festival involving spectacular processions, Chinese Ghost Month, Assumption Day, and at least 15 other religious celebrations. Sounds amazing, right? Well, here's the catch. With so many religious holidays, the economy sometimes struggles because banks, government offices, and schools are closed more often than they're open during certain months. You'd think paradise comes with a relaxed work schedule, but try running a business when your Hindu employees need time off for Diwali, your Muslim workers observe Ramadan, your Christian staff want Easter week, and your Chinese colleagues disappear for an entire New Year celebration. It's like trying to coordinate the world's most diverse religious calendar while keeping an economy running. Mauritius has one of the world's strictest anti-drug laws. Getting caught with even a tiny amount of cannabis can get you 20 years in prison, making it harsher than murder sentences in some countries. Sounds unbelievable, but this tropical paradise has zero-tolerance policies that would shock most Western tourists. We're talking about a country where possessing 2 grams of marijuana, barely enough for a single joint, carries the same penalty as armed robbery. The Dangerous Drugs Act treats all illegal substances equally, meaning the same person selling heroin gets the same sentence as someone caught with a bag of weed. Here's the scary part. These laws apply to tourists too, and claiming ignorance won't save you. Every year, unsuspecting visitors get arrested at the airport because they forgot about leftover cannabis in their luggage from countries where it's legal. Local courts don't distinguish between personal use and trafficking, so that edible you forgot about could land you in a Mauritian prison for 2 decades. Think Amsterdam is liberal with drugs? Mauritius is the complete opposite. The irony is thick. You can drink rum punches on the beach all day, but get caught with the equivalent amount of cannabis, and your tropical vacation turns into a 20-year nightmare. Even locals whisper about the harsh sentences because everyone knows someone whose life was destroyed by these draconian laws. Number 7. Women in Mauritius enjoy some of the most progressive gender equality laws in Africa, but there's a bizarre cultural taboo that forbids them from working in certain traditional fishing villages. Wait until you find out about this contradiction. Legally, Mauritian women can own property, run businesses, hold political office, and have equal inheritance rights, making the country more progressive than many European nations. The female literacy rate is 88.5%, higher than the male rate, and women make up 51% of university graduates. But here's where tradition clashes with modernity. In certain coastal villages like Truox Beach and Grand Bay, century-old fishing customs still prohibit women from touching fishing nets, boarding fishing boats, or even walking on certain parts of the beach when boats are launching. These aren't legal restrictions, they're cultural taboos so deeply ingrained that even highly educated women respect them out of tradition. You heard right. The same country that elected female presidents and prime ministers still has fishing villages where women can't step foot on certain stretches of sand. The contradiction gets weirder. These same villages depend economically on female fish vendors who sell the catch, but they can't participate in catching it. It's like having the most progressive labor laws in Africa while maintaining medieval guild restrictions in specific neighborhoods. Modern Mauritian women navigate this by respecting village customs while dominating in every other sector of society. Number 6. The country has a sugar industry so dominant that 85% of the land was once covered in sugarcane, but the workers were paid in company tokens instead of real money until 1970. Sounds like something from the 1800s, but this economic slavery continued well into the modern era. Sugar estates operated like independent kingdoms where workers lived in company housing, shopped at company stores, and received wages in metal tokens that could only be spent within the plantation system. Think about that. Imagine working full-time, but your paycheck is monopoly money that only works at your employer's store. The system was so exploitative that workers could never save real money or leave the plantation because they literally had no currency that worked elsewhere. Here's the shocking part. This wasn't abolished until 1970, meaning there are Mauritians alive today who remember being paid in tokens instead of rupees. The sugar barons created a feudal system disguised as employment, where entire families were trapped for generations because they couldn't accumulate actual money to escape. You heard right. While Americans were landing on the moon, Mauritian workers were still getting paid in company scrip, like it was a 19th century mining camp. Today, former plantation land sells for millions to luxury resort developers, but the families who worked that same land for generations with token wages were never compensated. The irony is bitter. The sugar that sweetened European tea came from workers who couldn't afford to buy sugar themselves because they weren't paid in real money. Number 5. Mauritius has a secret military agreement that allows foreign powers to use their territory, but most citizens don't know their country hosts one of the world's most controversial military bases. Think your government keeps secrets? The British maintain a massive military installation on Diego Garcia, part of the Chagos archipelago, which Mauritius claims as its territory but has been under British control since the 1960s. Here's where it gets dark. The British forcibly removed all 2,000 indigenous Chagosian people from their homeland to make room for this base, and they've been fighting for the right to return ever since. The base is so secretive that most maps don't even show it, yet it's been used for bombing campaigns in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other Middle Eastern conflicts. Wait until you find out that the lease payments Britain makes for this base go directly to the Mauritian government, creating a morally complex situation where Mauritius profits from a facility built on the forced displacement of an entire people. The Chagosians, who were dumped in Mauritius as refugees, now live in poverty, while their former homeland serves as a launching pad for military operations they have no say in. You heard right. There are people living in Mauritius today who were born on islands they can never visit because a foreign military has turned their birthplace into a restricted zone. The legal battle continues in international courts, but meanwhile, one of the world's most strategic military bases operates in total secrecy, using territory that rightfully belongs to people who can't go home. It's like having your backyard turned into a military base by someone who claims they're renting it from your neighbor, while you're not allowed to set foot on your own property. Number 4. The country practices a bizarre form of arranged marriages where families negotiate dowries, but the twist is that women often pay men's families instead of the traditional reverse. Sounds unbelievable, but in many Indo-Mauritian Hindu communities, the bride's family pays substantial dowries to the groom's family, sometimes equivalent to several years of salary. We're talking about $15,000 to $50,000 payments, plus gold jewelry, appliances, and sometimes even cars or property. Here's the kicker. This practice continues even among highly educated, financially independent women who earn more than their future husbands. The system has created a parallel economy where families start saving for dowries from the moment daughters are born, sometimes taking out loans or selling property to meet demands. Think arranged marriages are outdated? In modern Mauritius, dating apps and love marriages coexist alongside families hiring professional matchmakers who calculate dowry amounts based on the groom's education, family status, and skin tone. Yes, you heard right. Lighter skin literally increases dowry prices in some communities. The contradiction is staggering. Mauritius has female CEOs, doctors, and politicians, but they still participate in a system where their families pay money for the privilege of marrying them off. Wedding negotiations can take months, with families exchanging detailed financial inventories like they're negotiating corporate mergers instead of celebrating love. The scary part? Many educated young women defend this system as tradition, even when it bankrupts their families and reduces marriage to a financial transaction. It's like living in two centuries simultaneously: progressive gender equality by day, medieval marriage markets by negotiation. Number 3. Mauritius has a cyclone season so extreme that the entire country legally shuts down for days at a time, with special police patrols ensuring nobody goes outside during Class 4 warnings. Think you know bad weather? Mauritian cyclones are so dangerous that the government has legal authority to confine every citizen to their homes, and violating lockdown orders during a cyclone can result in arrest and fines up to $2,000. When meteorologists issue a Class 4 cyclone warning, everything stops. Airports close, businesses shut down, public transportation halts, and even hospitals operate with skeleton crews. Here's the scary part. These storms pack winds over 200 kilometers per hour, strong enough to turn everyday objects into deadly missiles. You heard right, a coconut blown by cyclone winds can literally kill you, which is why police patrol neighborhoods during storms to arrest anyone foolish enough to venture outside. The cyclone laws are so strict that even walking to your mailbox during a Class 4 warning is considered a criminal offense. Wait until you find out that locals have perfected the art of cyclone preparation. Within 6 hours of a warning, every store shelf is emptied, windows are boarded up, and the entire island transforms into a fortress. Tourists who experience their first Mauritian cyclone describe it as apocalyptic. Imagine paradise turning into a howling nightmare where palm trees become projectiles and the ocean tries to reclaim the land. The wildest part? Mauritians treat cyclone season like a festival, throwing cyclone parties where neighbors gather in the strongest house to ride out the storm together, playing cards and sharing food while nature tries to destroy everything outside. It's like a mandatory community bonding experience sponsored by Mother Nature's fury. Number 2. The entire country operates on island time so extreme that showing up 2 hours late to social events is considered normal, but being 5 minutes late to work can get you fired. Sounds contradictory, but Mauritians have totally mastered the art of dual time systems that would even confuse Swiss clockmakers. So here's how it works. Mauritian time applies to social gatherings, family events, and cultural celebrations, where guests routinely arrive 1 to 3 hours after the stated time without anyone batting an eye. Wedding invitations will say 6 p.m., but locals know the real start time is around 8:30 p.m., and showing up on time means you'll be sitting alone, waiting for everyone else. Think that's relaxed? Try the work environment, where Indian Ocean Standard Time rules with, honestly, military precision. Businesses operate on continental time, meaning European or American punctuality standards where being late is grounds for termination. You heard right, the same person who shows up 2 hours late to their cousin's birthday party without apology will get written up for arriving 10 minutes late to the office. The cultural split creates some hilarious situations. Office workers will leave exactly at 5 p.m. for a family dinner scheduled at 6 p.m., knowing they've got 2 to 3 hours to kill before anyone expects them to show up. Tourists constantly fall into this trap, either showing up embarrassingly early to social events or unforgivably late to business meetings. It's honestly like living in two different countries with completely opposite concepts of time. The psychology behind it is fascinating. Mauritians separate relationship time, which is flexible and people-focused, from economic time, which is rigid and productivity-focused, creating a society that's simultaneously the most punctual and most relaxed place you'll ever visit, depending on the context. Number 1. Mauritius is literally sinking into the ocean, losing 2.5 centimeters of coastline every year. But the government continues building luxury resorts on disappearing beaches while relocating entire villages inland. Think climate change is some distant threat? Well, this Indian Ocean paradise is disappearing in real time, and locals can literally measure the ocean claiming more land each year. Here's the terrifying math. At current rates, popular beaches like Flic-en-Flac and Belle-Mer will be underwater within 50 years, yet developers continue constructing multi-million-dollar resorts on doomed coastlines. You heard right. Investors are building luxury hotels on beaches that won't even exist by the time their mortgages are paid off. The contradiction is staggering. While scientists document rising sea levels with GPS precision, tourism marketing still sells Mauritius as an eternal paradise. Wait until you find out what's really happening to local communities. Entire fishing villages like Point au Sable are being gradually relocated inland as their homes become uninhabitable due to flooding and saltwater intrusion. Families who have lived on the same stretch of coast for generations now watch their ancestral lands disappear beneath the waves, while luxury resorts continue advertising waterfront properties that are literally going underwater. The government faces an impossible choice: shut down the tourism economy that depends on beaches, or keep building on coastlines they know are doomed. Here's the scary part. Local children are growing up measuring their playgrounds in years instead of decades, knowing their favorite beaches will be gone before they're adults. It's like watching Atlantis sink in slow motion, except this time it's real, it's happening now, and 1.3 million people call it home. The ultimate irony? The very tourism industry that markets Mauritius as paradise is accelerating the climate change that will destroy it, creating a feedback loop of beautiful self-destruction that future generations will study as a cautionary tale about ignoring environmental reality for short-term profits. So we've just discovered Mauritius's most mind-blowing secrets, from token wages and social media bans to sinking coastlines and dual-time systems. Which one shocked you the most? Have you ever experienced island time or been caught in a cyclone lockdown? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more hidden facts about places you thought you knew, because every paradise has secrets that are stranger than fiction.